Welcome everyone. Let's just all take a few breaths together. So this particular breath that I am going to do is called a double breath or proper sigh. Double sigh or proper sigh. This is a particular kind of breathing that all mammals adopt into their life. Not only just humans, but everyone. We have vagus nerve and phrenic nerve. Vagus nerve, the purpose of the vagus nerve is to just send the signal to from the brain to heart that everything is okay, you can calm down. So we get stress, and the stress goes down when the vagus sends the signal. So allows us to do whatever it is that we are doing way more functionally. But what's more faster than the signaling from vagus is phrenic nerve. So phrenic nerve is in the subcortical region of the brain, and it is directly responsible for the motor functions of our diaphragm in order for breathing to happen. So when we stimulate that phrenic nerve, the signaling is way more fast because vagus has all sort of connections through the whole body, whereas phrenic is a very simple and direct connection, just to diaphragm back to brain. See? So we want to utilize that. So the way to do the breathing is by taking a long inhale, and at the top of it you take another inhale. Yeah, just do your best and get a second inhale on top of it. It's going to be way shorter, doesn't matter. And then you hold for a second, and then you release, you exhale through the mouth. Because when the tactile sensation the breath makes through the mouth allows for more neurons in the brain to be stimulated. So you want to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. So as you exhale, make the exhale as slow as you can. Once you are experiencing stress or anxiety of anything of any kind in your usual scenario, a 4 breaths, this is what all mammals do. A 4 breaths is all that you need to take in this particular way for the system to get the signal everything is okay, everything is fine, and relax, to come back to homogeneity. So let's just start. Everyone got it? Yeah? Okay, so just take a long breath. At the end of it, you again do the same breathing. Just go for a long inhale again. At the top of the breath, take another small breath, however much you can, second one, and just breathe out and don't breathe out with making a fish mouth, but let the mouth just drop in the process of exhaling. Because what you want to just drop your jaws. That activates the vagus too. So we are hijacking both the nervous system at the same time. So let the mouth just drop as you are exhaling, and just make it as low as possible. Continue doing that, 2 more breaths. So doing 4 of these breaths in any kind of stressful situation would immediately bring you back to your groundedness, especially if it is just psychological in nature and there is no immediate physical real threat that you are handling. That's right. So once you have finished the 4th breath, now you shift the breathing to an 1:2 ratio, meaning you just take a small inhale and exhale double the time. So it can be a 3 to 6, 3 second to 6 seconds. 3 second inhale and a 6 second exhale. So that's more of a vagus nerve breathing pattern. So this is first you do this breathing, the double sigh or proper sigh, and stimulate your phrenic nerve, and then you transition to vagus. Vagus has a shorter path, but it is more sustainable pathway. Phrenic nerve is something that we can stimulate just to immediately bring us back, but on a long term we want to be stimulating the vagus. So doing breathing like that for a minute in that fashion is going to start stimulating your vagus and stimulate also your parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes rest, relaxation, harmonious well-being within your system. And once you have finished breathing like that, you continue on with your eyes open, paying attention to the space around you. First by paying attention to the space around your body, and then paying attention to the space between you and the objects around you. So you are not, since it's space, there is nothing for you to really look. It's more about being aware of the space. The more you become aware of the space, your vision will naturally go into peripheral vision. Peripheral vision is one that happens when we are daydreaming and in a state of relaxation, lying back and chilling. Usually we spend most of our time in vision, meaning focused vision, meaning the kind of vision that that is required for us to focus on objects. And that's what we do most of the time. We focus on objects and we look at phones and we read books, and everything is about focus. But focused vision is associated with being on a state of watch out according to brain, because the brain, as the way it's evolved, it never really got updated the previous installments of the brain that got installed in. That's like an excellent way for us to really know we evolved from monkeys. It's really not any other way, because you can clearly see how the brain works. How the reptiles function is the same way our brain also functions, meaning the reptilian part of our brain just functions the same way as how, like a million years ago, it got installed in, and it's still, ever since it's got installed, it has been the same. Not a single update has ever happened. So that's why we freeze still. That's like an excellent response that lets us know we really evolved from monkeys, because that's what our pre-ancestors used as a method to escape predators. We play possum, play dead, and predators don't like dead animals, so they just leave the dead animals alone. So we learned, oh, okay, we can do that. Guess what? It's in our epigenetics. Genetic knowledge gets passed on, right? Like we are all in a singular chain. Really, we are here because every single one of our ancestors succeeded, at least to the point of procreating the next generation. So this information has been passed on from millions of years ago to just go freeze. But it's not really going to get you anywhere right now, because it's not like there's an animal there to eat you. You're not really going to get out much from that behavior at this point. But guess what? The system still functions that way, so people still go to freeze. So it's just out there for us to see. And guess why we can move our fingers like this? Ever thought about it? What are the only creatures that can do something even remotely similar? Monkeys, right? Why monkeys? Because we were also originally tree dwellers. We were not land dwellers, just living on land. That was not our history. We are living on trees, because we evolved from monkeys, right? Monkeys live on trees still. So we became like that. So we have a lot of sophistication when it comes to movement with our fingers, unlike all the other mammals has, like dogs and cats and lion, and they don't have it. Only we have it. Now we also have fossils of 300,000-year-old human beings. Not human beings like Homo erectus and pre-ancestors before that. And guess what? They have a small tail. 300,000 years ago. And so we have all the spiritual books and everything coming up from what time? 5,000? The oldest is emerald tablets. That's 35,000 years ago. Cuneiform writing. But before that, there is nothing. But we have history on Earth, not just 30,000 or 50,000 years ago. It's been a long period of time. Humanoids were there for a long period of time. Before Homo sapiens, Homo erectus and Neanderthals, and a lot of variants of us, and they crossbred, and then there's we have fossils of all of this. One of the recent one was Lucy. Check it up, Lucy. It's like one of our ants, and you can clearly see the feet, how the feet is curved up like this, more like how it's meant for trees. You can clearly see that. So the brain, so the history of the brain is like this. Up until 100,000 years ago, our brain was literally 1/3 of the size that it is right now. 1/3. So such a small brain, right? So how did it get to be this big? So there is a lot of hypotheses about it, how it just kept on becoming bigger, and one of them is stone tape theory. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with it. Is that we human beings came into touch with magic mushrooms, psychedelics. In subtropical region, that's what grows in cattle poop, and we are tree dwellers, right? And we used to follow cattle, and the best way to follow cattle is what? Following cattle poop. And at some point you are like, oh, see, something there on it growing, looks different. Let's try it, right? So they tried it, because I don't know how many of you guys realize, because we human beings didn't speak, we didn't have sentence. It's a very new thing. A big chunk of the brain is dedicated to just for this language processing. That's why the 2/3 size portion of development has happened. For that, so we have, like, the history goes like this. We have a pre-linguistic era and a post-linguistic era. When a time before language, we didn't speak, just and that has some meaning. So we have like primitive, simple meanings. We communicate simple things. We say something and that makes some sort of simple sense. So it's just surviving and all of that. It's going on. Then one day, they are seeing this mushrooms. They are eating it up, and all of a sudden the experience is just so complex. They were forced to evolve. Crazy, right? They were literally forced to evolve and create language to communicate the experience, because it's not a simple experience happening. It seems very big, and they made up words, syntax, put words together, because it was just like one word and the sound and things like that before that. Then we changed, and guess what we know about magic mushrooms right now? They are neurogenerative, meaning each time you take it, your brain grows. Your brain is having a lot more neurons than before. The trick is this: the main neurotransmitter we have that allows us to see the very stable world that we see right now is serotonin. Serotonin don't just simply regulate your moods and give you some nice emotions. That's one of its role. But another main role of serotonin is to act as a neurotransmitter and mediate your experience of reality as of right now. The reality that you're seeing right now is mediated by serotonin. That allows us to see a very stable world. And there is a history of serotonin too. If you really look at lower primates to higher primates and all the way up to human beings, the highest concentration of serotonin is found in human beings, meaning we see the world in the most stable and stabilized way, unlike other lower life forms. Understand? So we evolved this form of seeing a stabilized form of world, but it still only speaks about the concentration of serotonin that stabilizes and gives you the experience of a stable, solid world. Now, psilocybin is also coming from the same amino acid group from where serotonin comes from. There's a mother. The mother is tryptophan. She's one of the amino acid group that makes up the basic protein, right? One amino acid group, tryptophan, that is from that you can synthesize all the neurotransmitters, meaning serotonin, DMT, 5-MeO-DMT, psilocybin. Now what does that mean? What does that really mean? Does that mean this is real? There is few neurotransmitters, and one of them, if the concentration goes up, then the reality changes, right? They are all from the tryptamine family. What is serotonin? The proper word is 5-hydroxytryptamine. See? What is DMT? N-dimethyl tryptamine. See? 5-MeO-DMT is the same thing. Everything is just tryptamines. You, from the moment you are born, you never get to have an experience of reality that is unmediated by any neurotransmitter. At any given moment, your experience of reality is mediated by some neurotransmitter. You cannot have a direct experience of reality because guess what? The brain is sitting inside the thick skull and it never comes out, and it never will until you die. That's why we get to never know. And the brain is the world building machinery. It builds the world that you see right now. So this is like you're literally in a world building machine. That's what it is. So you take psilocybin, the world becomes different. It doesn't mean that you are tripping or hallucinating. It just simply means that neurotransmitter is way more refined and sophisticated in its essence to capture the essence of reality. Just because we are being run by serotonin doesn't mean this is real. This is not real. You understand? Right now what you're seeing is a neurological. What I mean by that is the neurons in the brain can only at any given point do 4 things. The neurons in the brain can either fire at different places, at different times, at different intensity, and at different sequence. These are the only 4 things neurons in the brain can do, right? So at any given moment, what is a neurological abstraction? Now what I mean by that is they did a test with the monkeys in 1991 with rhesus monkeys, okay? The test was to discriminate what is the neurological stimulated areas that gets activated in the monkey's brain when the monkey looks at the lines on the computer going up versus lines going down. Simple thing. They just wanted to see what neurons in the brain in the monkey just fires up, where, at what times, at what sequence, and at what intensity. That's the 4 things. And they noted that down for the lines going up in the computer and also the lines going down. And once they have established this, they did something else after. What they did, they put an electrode inside the monkey's brain and stimulated that particular areas of the brain that got activated when the monkey was looking at the lines going up, right? But at the same time on the screen they showed lines going down, and they just noticed what the monkey see. Guess what the monkey saw? Monkey saw lines going up. Monkey didn't see lines going down. What does that mean? What does that really mean, guys? Think. That means that what you don't see what is out there based on what neurons fire up, at what sequence, at what time, at what places, at what intensity. That's all there is to it. It's a model. You get to never see the reality that's out there outside of your body. So that's why death becomes the most curious and beautiful thing, because right outside of your body there is a reality which is not like this, guys. It's absolutely not like this. I took a smoke, like a puff of changa, and my God, I just was blown away by hope. You mean we hear the oneness theory and all the happiness and stuff, but then there is something beyond your conception and perception, and things that you have ever dreamed is possible for you to ever see with your eyes. And then you just realize, oh, I think I don't really know. I think nobody really knows. I think everyone just speculated. Nobody really can have the reality in their hands, because guess what? Nobody's brain ever really came out and experienced reality as it is. All anyone can ever have is a subjective experience of reality, but that never really translates to the objective reality of the world. Isn't that interesting? If we have a dog right now, dog is going to see the reality differently. Does that mean the model that dog is seeing is more real or less real, and ours is more real? Or no, it's just all models. We are all working with just models. We don't really know, because the eyes don't see. That's the thing. Eyes don't really see. It's the brain that sees. That's hence you dream. You don't really need light, do you, when you dream? It's the brain that sees. Get fooled into thinking, oh, because of the light I see and everything. No, it's called thalamocortical state, and you have a thalamocortical state repertoire in your brain. So at any given moment, you have millions, infinite thalamocortical states that can just show up. Meaning, what I'm saying is, like when you watch a movie, right? You have a camera recording the thing. So what's happening there? In a single second, there is, like in a 25mm camera, there's, what it means is there is 25 frozen images, right? 25 frozen images that is put together and run together and gives you the impression that things are moving, right? So in that sense, there is 25 frozen images inside a single second in a 25mm camera, right? So even there, is it really easy to just understand that it's just a movie? Doesn't it look like more or less just like the real stuff? Yeah. So now the number that we have with our brain is 10 is 10. It's a huge number, not like 25 freaking fixed images. So you look anywhere, it's gonna be scot-free. It's gonna look like a real thing. There's not gonna be a blip. It's not 25 frames or something. It's gonna just not be slow to catch up. You will never catch up to it. And what literally happens right now is there is a reality out there, and the senses pick up this information, what is really out there, and inform the brain, and brain makes up an experience. And the information from the outside world doesn't even go inside. It's simply the brain will match with the information that's coming in. We'll take something that matches that. Let's just say there's a red out there, then it's more like the neurons that are wired that can capture the sense of redness, red color is going to be stimulated. That's what it means. It's not anything, nothing is really going on inside. It's just information from the outside is like the brain is matching with it. So there is a sort of like a brain has to work with the outside when you are awake and looking at the world like this. But when you are going to dream, guess what? Brain, there is no information going inside. So brain is free to make up worlds of its own choosing. So in reality, the brain never really needed the information that you picked up from the outside to make up the world. What you are experiencing as the world is simply, in neurological terms, we can say it's a T state. It's called thalamocortical state. It's an information rich field of experience. It's a field of experience with a lot of information. That's what you have available. And the yogis, guess what they did? They did something. They created everything is a play of conditions. You create certain conditions and certain things can grow, just like mushrooms, right? You have to create some conditions for some things to flourish and grow. Anything. You need conditions. The yogis created the conditions in which 5-MeO-DMT can increase, because usually it is in very small trace amount in comparison to serotonin's level, DMT's level, and all of that stuff. So they created the condition. Like conditions are like extreme conditions. like sensory deprivation, darkness, total darkness, being in that sort of environment over extended period of time. And that's what they did in India. It's called tapas. They went into sensory deprivatory caves and sat there and did meditation and practices for years and years. Not like just going in and coming out after a few hours and going with their stuff and coming back the next day. No. It's like going on, total darkness. I have met people like that in Rishikesh, in the foothills of Himalayas, sat inside for 35 years. Can you imagine that? So the thing, what happens, when you create these certain conditions, 5-meo DMT can increase. And at some point, you're going to have a full-blown experience when it just completely hijacks the serotonin receptors in the brain. You're going to have an experience that actually there is only oneness. Actually, there is nothing. It's nothingness. Because what 5-meo DMT is, it's a dehallucinogen. It takes away all the existing hallucination, meaning all that you experience through the senses melt away. And you have the experience. But guess what? They thought they are having a manifestation of the sacred happening. This is called, in the old terms, hierophany, where you think you get to have the manifestation of the sacred. The sacred will manifest and you get to experience that. That idea is hierophany. So they believed they are having an experience of the divine in that. They forgot the fact that they are still having an experience that is mediated by a neurotransmitter, just like all the others, like serotonin and this and that and everything. This is also one. It also mediates the experience. So they are not having a direct experience of reality. Anyone can go and take a 120 microgram or above of a 5-meo DMT shot and with no zero meditation can experience this. Is that what divine is coming down to? Yeah, divine is just like any, yeah. You understand? It's not divine. It's just they got fluked into thinking, now I got to have the reality. I now have the reality in my hands. I know the truth of reality. You never get to have it. You get to never have it until you come out of the biological suit that you're in. And it is important that you accept that you don't know what happens, because there are so many ideas about what happens after you die, this and that. And what they do to you is they increase the amount of certainty that you have about the truth. And the certainty does one thing that is very much dangerous to us. That is, it kills curiosity. It kills curiosity. The more certain you are of the truth of reality, how curious can you really be of the reality, nature of it? No, cannot go together. The more certain you are, the less curious you are going to be. And curiosity is a state that you don't want to miss, because the brain rewards an individual for simply being curious. A lot of dopamine is released as soon as you are curious about anything or anything. Can you imagine that? It doesn't even matter what you are curious about. Just for being curious, brain is what? They deserve a reward for that, just for being curious. So dopamine. So you feel good in your body and it's motivating the mind to explore the object of curiosity. Instead of feeling all existential crisis and feeling uncomfortable in your own skin when you are contemplating your own death, it would be a change to accept that I don't know and really be curious. What is really out there? What could it be? I don't know. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a beautiful thing. It's up to you. The glass is half empty and it is glass full, half full at the same time. It's both true at the same time. It's up to you. How do you want to see it? You can see the glass is half empty and that's going to create an experience in you. That point of view is going to create an experience in you. Or you can see it as half full and that's going to create an experience in you too. See? I have been collecting knowledge for the last 13 years. And I made sure the knowledge that I have is not some washed out knowledge that's out there with everybody. If it's just out there with everybody, it's just not really special, is it? and I don't want to say what everybody's already said it before. I want to have my own spirituality. So this is like my own spirituality. If you're inspired by this, get in touch with me. I'll show you what is possible. And there's a lot that is possible, guys. I can barely sleep. That's how good I feel. Just curious I am. The genius is to capture the essence of enthusiasm that you have as a child and carry it to all the way to old age. Not something everyone can have. You fed boredom. Boredom kicks in as the age comes in because you think you know everything. Oh, how I see is how it is. What I see is all there is to it. No, how you see is never how it is. How you see is just that, how you see. And all you get to see is that, how you see things. You get to never have how it is, because how it is the reality out there, and that we don't know. We get to have a map, and the point is how good our map is when it comes to navigating this reality in a way that we want to, in a way that we would love to. That's more the point of it is. I don't think anybody have the truth. No gurus have the truth, brother. I refuse to accept that. Nobody has it. Not Jesus, not Krishna, nobody. Nobody has it. The consciousness is a big place. Nobody knows how big it is. It's a huge place. We don't know. We're just simply being arrogant if we think we are consciousness and we are all there is to it. I feel like that is hierophany and arrogance of man who just evolved, who are at best evolved monkeys. That's what I believe. So you get my take on it. But regardless of it, I do have a lot of knowledge regarding all sort of matters. This is just something I want to just share. I share stuff every week and just felt as good as a moment as any. You guys looked very receptive. Nobody's having a meltdown. Yeah, because I started off with all of that from 5 years of age. So I was completely set on the last thing that had some dogmatic belief, that had some sort of a hold on me, was the oneness thing. Like everything is oneness, the nothingness thing. That was the, like, reality as it is without distinctions, and we make distinctions in order to have an experience of it. So like the Taoist, I explored all of it. And I was like, that's something I felt like I can sit with the oneness, because I thought like everybody seems to be having, from all these cultures, had this experience of this oneness. All these wise men, of course, I just accepted it. But then I was like, okay, fuck. There's a frog out there in this Mexican desert, which apparently you smoke, and you are literally having the experience of the same nirvana that Buddha had. I'm like, come on. We need to like call spades for spades. That's not reality then. You do not get to have it. And even if Buddha is having the experience of nirvana, if you connect the fMRI scan to the brain and see what neuronal activity is happening, it's still, guess what? A neuronal abstraction. Neurons firing at different places, at different times, at different intensity, and at different sequence. That's all there is to it. And you do not get to see what is out there, because you get to see what? The neuronal abstraction is all that you ever get to experience. So hence, I am saying again, nobody have it. But the point is not whether everybody have the truth. The point is how good we can create our life. Are we creating a life that is worth living, worth enjoyable, worth being proud of? Do I love my life? When I ask that question to myself, does my body cringe up, or does it relax and give in as if, oh, I want to just feel more of that? Or you are like, oh, fuck, I just don't want to ask that question again. I would rather not ask the question because it's not a pleasant feeling. So you ask the question, do I love my life? That's for me the most important thing, brother. This is more exploratory stuff, but it will add value, because guess what? Curiosity will always release a lot of dopamine. So if you're curious about yourself, thinking you don't know, and if you're curious about the world you don't know, then guess what? You're curious. You're like ferociously curious. There's no chance in hell you're going to be just suffering with all that curiosity. So my recipe is curiosity, guys. Find ways to get out of your, I know what it is and I know the truth of it. Nobody has the truth. Escape the truth trap. The gurus are so ready to just hash out the truth and give it like, come in, I just have it. just so brimming with it to just give in. No, nobody freaking have it. Because you just have to look at the freaking logic of it and you can see, okay, fuck, that doesn't make sense. There's something called morphogenetic field, guys. Morphogenetic field is something that is there for all objects that is living and inanimate, like meaning rocks and everything has it, a field of influence. And this exists also for the human mind and body. So you are always being influenced by the people around you, by the morphogenetic field of their other people's mind. So hence the company, the student asked the guru one question, Guru, is the journey that is the important part or the destination that's the important part? And the guru answered, it's the company, my son, it's the company, that's most important. So I would say ongoing company is what would, because you know the experience of the morphogenetic field of my mind by this point, whether it feels good or whether it feels bad, whether it feels empowering, whether it feels disempowering. So you decide from there on. You know, and mind doesn't just change as a one thing, because as soon as you go out, guess what? You're being in the morphogenetic field of influence of so many other minds. So it's only before you know it, the little curiosity that you gather from that is gone and you're back in your normal ways. Otherwise, an ongoing association becomes a requirement to be connected to the morphogenetic field of someone that makes you, the mind of which that makes you feel an inspirational spark. Oh, I want to embody more of that into my life. Oh, that's how it is. And anyone else, guys?
I'm curious.
Ask. Oh, yeah.
Who inspires you? Like, who is there someone that actually gets you excited and inspiring?
Actually, there's a lot of people that is inspiring to me, and I would say some of them, they don't exist anymore. They are philosophers like from 18th centuries, 17th century, 19th century, French philosophers, Deleuze. Like, I'm a big fan of Rhizomatic. Have you heard of the journey of the life is of that of 1,000 plateaus? The 1,000 plateaus is more like it's the rhizome philosophy. The philosophy of the rhizome, meaning visually what we embody in our spirituality and in our metaphor for knowledge in the world is tree. Hence we see the tree of knowledge and this, that, Kabbalah and this and everything is about tree. Hence we have the idea everything has a root. Yeah, we are always looking at the root cause, the cause of something, causality, the root of something. We have a problem, we start looking for the root of the problem. That's that attitude. You finish the root, then there's no more, right? But for me, that's bullshit. I don't believe in the root and this. You start working from where you are right now. Where do you want to go? That's the only question. There is no center. Rhizome philosophy is that it's acentric. It doesn't have a center. The tree has a taproot, right? You remove the taproot and the tree dies. But you cannot do that. Rhizome has no center. You can cut it, but it just simply grows. It just simply connects to whatever next to it and just like that. And it is non-linear, and tree is a very linear thing, and life is not a linear thing. So the tree is not a metaphor for life. See, there's a lot of stuff, brother, that inspires me. I cannot even scratch the surface of that. Like then light. Light is interesting because everything we see in light. Without light, the whole game show goes, right? So then there's a lot of philosophers who went deep into the philosophy of light. Does really light exist in the form of wave and particle the way we know it right now? Or does it only exist in the way Schrodinger demonstrated as a wave? And what if it only exists as a wave, then it needs a medium in order to be waving through. Then that means we need either. Either becomes the medium through which light can wave through. But guess what? Our modern science say there is no such thing as either. So it's all interesting. So I feel like there's a whole game going on. And then there's this whole thing, the axis mundi and the Mount Meru, and why the compass shows the North Pole all the time. And we have the old medieval drawings of a mountain that is so many times, 40 times bigger than Mount Everest. At the middle, in the Arctic pole, at the center, which reaches to the clouds, to the sky. That's why all thing points to the North Pole, the compass. But hence, and the company that owns the most amount of money in the whole world at this point, investing, is BlackRock. The name comes from this Mount Meru concept from the whole time. And so I don't know whether it really exists. And we don't even know whether we are living in a flat earth or a round earth actually. We don't know. So it's all curious. What if this whole is a whole hoax to keep us the illusion, oh, we are like flying up into space and there is no resources available, guys, like we are like alone in the sky, so resources are limited. So guys, everybody need to make money and pay the taxes because there's limited resource. What if it's flat earth and the land is just flat and just going wide and the petrol is like unlimited? What if it's all a fluke? just to keep us in a circle? Like the world is only this much, guys. You go to the Arctic, to the Antarctic, and from there it's no point, okay, no exit from there. It's no fly zones. And what? There are individuals who went beyond the Antarctica and stuff and telling guys there is like a lot of place there and civilization and everything is thriving. But then we suppress all this stuff because Rockefeller, when he created the basic general education system, he didn't want a generation of thinkers. He just simply wanted a generation of workers. So it's clear. He was telling, I don't want to make all of my money. I just simply want to make 1% of everyone's money. So that's what his slogans became so rich. It's like the game is really, it's a game, guys. And then there is astrology, Jupiter and Venus and planets influencing your course of actions and your course of mind and your nature of mind and the way you behave and all of this stuff. Then makes one really question, what is really going on? Is this planets really planets, or is this not really even planets? Because all we see is just a neurological abstraction, right? So what we see as the sun, it could be a person or this or that or anything. We just simply see a ball because that's what our senses allow us to see. You understand? So for me, world is an interesting place. I think this is a good place we can wrap it up.